Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee. Wanted to do a quick afternoon update here. And also, I want to remind you that tonight at 7 o'clock on my YouTube channel, Joe Chaffee, we will have the Joe and Joe Weather Show with at least a full hour, if not more. And we'll go through everything with regards to, in regards to Tropical Storm Isaias. And this is a very rare thing. We don't often see, in fact, we rarely see warnings from Florida to Maine. Now, earlier today, we actually did have at one point tropical storm warnings up from Florida all the way up to Maine, but now we'll just have to settle from Georgia to Maine. And there's a small area of the coast in northeastern South Carolina and in southernmost North Carolina, where we have a small area of the coast there under a hurricane warning in the event that Isaias winds up reaching hurricane strength. I want to emphasize that from the standpoint of the outcome of here with regards to wind and rain, it really doesn't make any difference whether it becomes a minimal hurricane again or not. It really isn't going to change very much. Not a huge amount of difference between a storm, a strong tropical storm with winds of 70 miles an hour, and a hurricane of 75 or even 80 miles an hour. So you can see the warnings running up the coast. One of the things that has happened this afternoon is the Weather Service has expanded the tropical storm warnings westward. So that includes all of Delaware, parts of central and eastern Maryland and eastern Virginia, but then all of New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania now under a tropical storm warning. So is the Hudson Valley up to about Route 84. So that would include Westchester, Putnam, Orange, and Rockland counties. And then it cuts off at Route 84. And we have tropical storm warnings up for Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and watches are up for New Hampshire and Maine, but those are going to go to warnings probably as well. And we have also flash flood watches that are up for much of the same areas that are under tropical storm warnings, with the exception of the immediate coast. For example, Long Island is not in a flash flood watch, nor is southeastern New England. And those flash flood watches run from New York State and Vermont on southward through eastern and southeastern and south central Pennsylvania, central and eastern Maryland, much of the state of virtually all of the state of Virginia, and into North Carolina. So this system, even though it's not anything more than what it is, a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane at worst, it is having an impact over a large area. And the reason why the tropical storm warnings have been expanded westward, there are two reasons. One is the track looks like from the weather models, if we're going to start jogging the system maybe a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, it seems to have taken a slight leftward jog. So the Hurricane Center has adjusted their forecasts accordingly. And there's also going to be a little bit of energy that will come into the storm the way it does for non-tropical systems. And it looks like the wind field is actually going to expand a bit to include more of the inland sections. We thought that that might have been a possibility over the last couple of days. Just wanted to kind of wait till today to confirm that. You see on the satellite, the storm has kind of an odd oblong shape to it, northeast southwest, and part of the reason for that is the fact that you have this continuous southwesterly wind in the upper atmosphere, wind shear, that is distorting it a bit. So we get these flare-ups of big thunderstorms, and then they wane a bit, then they flare up again. So there's a chance that as it approaches the coast, gets inside the Gulf Stream, and the wind shear decreases a little bit, that you could get that extra nudge into hurricane status. On the radar, and this is as of 3 p.m., we're starting to see rains into coastal South Carolina, and we're getting some bands into North Carolina. Also, the mountains are enhancing heavy rains and downpours further north in the interior parts of North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, and in the western part of that state into western Virginia. The actual circulation remains offshore. You can pick it out here just watch the counterclockwise turning. The center's right about there, and it's moving on a course at the moment to the north, and we're going to see that then move on out, eventually just turn to the northeast and find its way up the coast over Chesapeake Bay And then from there, we're going to take it up through New Jersey, probably passing near or west of New York City, might even be a little bit further west than this. And then it will continue on its way to the north. It'll actually probably start turning more northeast at some point and heading up through New England. So all of that rainfall is going to be pushing on up. Uh, East of this line, wind is going to be the bigger issue. There'll be less rain as you go east and more rain as you go west. So that may mean that the max area of rain needs to be shifted a little bit further to the west. And you can see the Weather Prediction Center folks late about a couple of hours ago, they kind of shifted the heavy rain axis a little bit further to the west so that it is in southeastern Pennsylvania, westernmost New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and then the 2.5-inch rain line seems to cut off right about New York City and over western Long Island. Look, it's going to wind up being that west of the track, there's going to be 4 to 5 or 6 inches of rain out of this, and some places might even get a little bit more, and there will be the potential for flash flooding. I think there'll be less rain to the east. Might be, there's still, I want to be a little careful because if you get a couple of good cells that develop, when I say good cells, I mean cells that have intensity to them. Not that they're good, that they have intensity to them. You're going to see maybe some bursts of localized heavy rain for sure. And again, the wind being the big issue. So let's try to break down some timing here. We've been using the ICON model because we think that model has had the best handle on this in terms of time, and it matches up well to the European. So we're looking at landfall sometime between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. on the North Carolina coast. You'll notice that there's precip indicated here up into southern New England, southwestern New England, and the Hudson Valley. There'll probably be some showery rains around. Not everyone will participate. And then tomorrow morning, it'll be in northeastern North Carolina at 8 a.m. It'll be over Chesapeake Bay at 2 p.m. and right at or just west of New York City by 8 p.m. The rains, the very heavy rain, what we're talking about is probably a 4 to 6 hour period where it's going to be rough with heavy rains and the strongest winds. And I think that that will come from mid-morning to mid-evening, and it's going to depend on location, obviously, because of how quickly this thing is moving. I'm going to put the wind gusts up on the map here, and we'll this is updated from earlier today. So tomorrow, this is at noon. So you can see where there's 50 to 60 knot wind gusts, southern New Jersey into Delaware and eastern Maryland. And then as we move through the afternoon, if we just jump over a couple of hours, here's 1 o'clock. We'll move it over to 2 o'clock. And by 2 o'clock, you're seeing certainly gales up to about New York City, 20 to 30 on Long Island in gusts, and 50 to 60, or possibly 55 to 65 across southern New Jersey. The western edge of the 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts now has been pushed back further west, almost into southeastern Pennsylvania. And by 3 o'clock, we'll continue to see this advance northward. I'm going to just jump it to 5 o'clock because that'll just take us to the evening time. Because at around 4 or 5 o'clock, this is where we'll see the winds of 50 to 60 miles an hour maxing out over northeastern New Jersey, New York City, and Long Island, and then going further east from there. Now, the timing here is, of course, it all depends on the speed at which this thing moves up. Notice that the winds really drop off late in the afternoon in western New Jersey and into the evening hours. So it's going to happen rather quickly here with regards to the winds picking up and then eventually dropping off. The westernmost edge, I'm just going to back up a frame here with respect to the winds in inland areas. The winds inland, you're going to get some gusts. You see the winds gusting in southeastern Pennsylvania, 30 to 40 miles an hour, but they do lighten up as you go north and west from there. It's a pretty sharp cutoff with respect to that. And then again, here we are now at 6 in the evening, where it'll be going full steam over New York City. And this, by the way, corresponds with a high tide, the south-facing shorelines of Long Island and Connecticut, Rhode Island, and the Cape, you're going to have to watch for the possibility of some moderate coastal flooding with this. We just came off a full moon. Today is the peak high tide, and we have a south wind. You had south wind yesterday, south wind today, so there's probably some water piling going on at the moment. So beware of that. There could be some moderate coastal flooding. The rainfall, let's get the latest update on total new precipitation here. As far as the total rainfall amounts are concerned, you're looking at 4 or 5 inch rainfall amounts. The Weather Service offices are basically going for about a 3 to 5 inch highest rainfall amount. Eastern PA, South Central, Southeastern PA, and then you get into some 5 and 6 inch amounts back through Maryland. I think you're going to wind up seeing that area being a bit further to the north. The trough that's out, there's this upper trough that's in the Great Lakes. So you see it here. This is really the driver. You have an upper high that is off the East Coast. You have this trough that is swinging around, and of course, your tropical system there Isaias is right in here, that big brown spot that is moving northeastward. This trough is actually swinging around and kind of energizing it a bit, and that's why we saw the winds being increased by the Weather Service and by the Hurricane Center in terms of the magnitude of the winds being further inland and why the tropical storm warnings are up as far west as they are. This is the 10-meter wind map. And that dark red, these are sustained winds. So all the coastal winds, 40 to 50 knots off the Delaware coast and off the coast of southern New Jersey. You have the sustained gales along the immediate coast. The sustained winds are a little lighter inland, but again, it's those gusts that you won't have to worry about because of that upper trough that's getting involved in all of this. And I just want to take a quick look. Unfortunately, we don't have the in-between hours of the European, but we do we're at least able to see where it is tomorrow morning and how it matches up with the other models. We'll just take a quick look at that. And you can see it here. It's actually a little bit further inland in southeastern Virginia, and it takes it probably right up over Chesapeake Bay and then through western New Jersey and on up into New York State and into New England. The rain, by the way, will start again. Those showery rains that'll be around tonight, but they will become steadier during the day tomorrow. And the heaviest rain for the areas from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England will probably be from mid-morning through mid-evening, and then they'll gradually end from south to north. So once the storm center goes by, there's not going to be very much on the southern side. So those rains will be tapering off and ending. I can't go into every exact spot in terms of the timing as far as the rain ending is concerned. So you might want to make use of some of the Weather Service maps to give you an idea of when the rain and the wind will start or stop for your specific area. So use the websites weather.gov and, of course, the National Hurricane Center's website, nhc.noaa.gov. Again, a reminder, the Joe and Joe Weather Show tonight coming up at 7 o'clock. And this show is also going to be available as a podcast in case it's easier for you to just listen to it rather than watch the video. So we'll see you tonight at 7.